What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Nick, and this is the place to be for everything landscape photography. Today I'm rounding out my my third video for camera basics. Manual mode. Manual.
Oh my man! Oh my smash!
After you learn aperture and shutter priority, manual. Let's go.
I've been a real bad boy on the town all night. Starting to calm down with the morning light. I'm in the
Alright guys, before we get into today's video, if you could please jump down there, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, share button, and hit that bell notification. It'll let you know when I upload my next video. Also follow me on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff. Links are in the description below. Alright, let's get into this. So, manual mode, it's kind of like a triangle. First you got your ISO, then you got your aperture, and then you got your shutter speed. These are the three things you do need to know for manual mode. All three of them work in conjunction with each other. You can't use one without the other. I feel like Jay-Z. You need to know the triangle of photography. Let's start with shutter speed. Shutter speed is where you'll have the option of freezing something or introducing motion blur to your photo. A higher shutter speed, or quick, will just freeze everything in frame. If you have a slower shutter speed, anything that's moving, it'll have that little wavy it'll have that motion blur effect that comes in. A slower shutter speed is great for waterfalls, that it'll have that creamy, silky water flow. And then for faster shutter speed, anything in a landscape that doesn't have water. So I shouldn't say that. Like with water, you'll have two options. You can freeze it. Did I get you again? Or you can slow everything down and add that motion to it. So that's shutter speed in a nutshell. Next up is aperture. Aperture introduces depth of field into your photos. So the higher the aperture, which we use an F and then the number, it's f-stop, 2.8, 5.6, 11, whatever. There's a whole plethora of numbers here, but the higher the f-stop, let's take for instance an f16 or an f20, everything in your frame should be in focus. A lower f-stop, let's say like an f1.4 and f2.8, you're gonna have that blurry bokeh background. ISO, now this one's a little tricky. ISO is kind of like digital light that you can add to your photographs. Normally it's used or reserved, I guess you could say, for lower light conditions, whether that be like sunset or night photography. But you really want to be careful with this. The higher your ISO, or artificial light, that you introduce to your settings, the more noise and artifacts that you're going to have. Normally with today's cameras, you can get around the 6400 ISO range before it starts really adding noise and artifacts to your photos. So with that being said, ISO, use it sparingly. If you're shooting in full daylight, try to keep your ISO super low and then adjust your shutter speed and your aperture accordingly. The end game with manual is that every camera has an internal light meter. It's that little bar that you see that has -3, -2, -1, 0, +1, +2, +3. You want to have that little ticker right in the middle. A little bit under or a little bit overexposed, it's okay. But your end game is trying to get that as close to the middle as possible for a correct photo exposure. Here's a little exercise that you guys can do. You can go in your house or outside, but for this example, I'm just go somewhere in your house, line up your camera to be pointing at like a light bulb, a light in your ceiling. Maybe you have a fireplace, point, shoot that. Pick an aperture. Doesn't matter what it is. Could be an It could be an f5.6. Could be an f12 or an f11. Whatever. Just pick one, and then adjust your ISO and your shutter speed to make that little ticker into the middle. Get it to the middle. Now, once you photograph that, move to another location within your house. Get another shot lined up. Keep the aperture the same, and then readjust your ISO and your shutter speed to try to get that little ticker within your internal light meter to hit that middle mark. You can also do this with your ISO. So set your ISO to 500 to start, maybe. Adjust your shutter and adjust your aperture to get that little ticker into the middle. Keep practice. Just keep practicing. That's all it is. And then your mind and your muscle memory will just be like, oh, okay, well, I'm outside and it's sunny out. Let's keep my ISO low. There's something really fast moving that I want to freeze in time. Okay, that's going to be a higher shutter rate. Do I want to have everything in focus? Okay, everything in focus, bump that f-stop or their aperture up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw up a little quick cheat sheet here. This cheat sheet is for kind of like a starting point. You can also download this cheat sheet from my website. The link is in the description below. It's supposed to give you a little baseline of where to start. So take it as is, have it like printed out or save it to your phone. I made it so that it looks like a little card so that you can have quick access at it on your phone, or if you put it in your wallet or whatever, your camera bag. It's just, like I said, it's just a quick little baseline of where to start, and then make necessary adjustments from there. So that is manual mode. Woo-hoo. Manual mode, of course, is gonna, you need to practice. And eventually, like anything that you practice, you'll get good at it. But my recommendation for you is to start with aperture priority first, move on to shutter priority. Once you have those two priorities down pat and you know exactly what the shutter is doing, what the aperture is doing, move on to manual mode. And like I said, try to keep your ISO as low as possible. Anything, like I said, above the 6400 mark, you're kind of on hairy ground right there. Try not to go above 6400. Try to keep it lower than that, and you guys will be just fine. So hopefully you guys got a ton of information on manual mode here. Hopefully I explained everything well enough for you. If I did, let me know in the comments below. I love to hear your guys' feedback. So I think that wraps up manual mode. So if you guys got anything from this or would like to see more videos on everything landscape photography, that includes gear, includes Lightroom, Photoshop, tips, tricks, reviews, all that good stuff, please subscribe to this channel. It would mean a lot. Also, hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that bell notification. Bing. It'll let you know when I upload my next video. Also, follow me on social media. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff. Links are in the description below. Alright, I'm gonna leave it at that. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.